Great. Thank you, Lisa. Um, well, now that we're being recorded, does anybody want to be brave and share out just something that they shared briefly in the breakout rooms? That is totally fine. If you want to share something in the chat, feel free to drop it in. So we're going to go into just some updates on events that have happened recently. One being the rally in support of Lam Lay. And so we're going to show a short video from, I think it was an online rally in support of Lam, and then have Stan share a little bit about how the in-person rally went.
Even though Lam and I are not related, in my heart, he is my brother. When we speak to each other in Vietnamese, we use pronouns that convey that he is my younger brother and I'm his older sister. Our kinship comes from our shared experience as Vietnamese refugees. Lam and I both escaped by boat out of Vietnam, stayed in refugee camps, and had to learn a new language and culture as we adjusted to life in America. In my book, I write about my escape out of Vietnam at the age of 8 and how I was separated from my family in the process. I will never forget the deep terror, feelings of hopelessness and helplessness I felt on that day. Fortunately, I was able to reunite with my mother hours later. But Lam did not have the benefit of escaping with an adult family member. At the age of 12, he and his younger brother left Vietnam as unaccompanied minors. Lam has also suffered other traumas, which include being physically abused by his father, witnessing the horrors of war, experiencing starvation and neglect in the refugee camp, and being abused by his sponsor in the US. Because he lacked the nurturance and guidance of a caring adult, Lam joined a gang to provide him with a sense of family, belonging, and safety. Lam's story is similar to the many Vietnamese, Chinese, Cambodian, and Hmong refugee young men I worked with when I was in San Francisco in the 1980s. Most of them told me that they belonged to a gang because it gave them a sense of family and security, something they sorely needed. When I first heard about Lam's story, I was deeply moved by how he spoke about being transformed by the love and kindness of Auntie June and others who worked with him in the prison. Their compassion and kindness transformed him and gave him access to his own inherent goodness, his capacity to feel deep gratitude, and his desire to help others. Lam's courageous journey of self-reflection and change is an incredible example of his resilience and the power of redemption. Lam is a remarkable person and deserves to be pardoned by Governor Newsom. Governor, if you're listening, please honor the MOU between the US and Vietnam that states that no Vietnamese person who entered the US before July 1995 will be deported for any reason. I ask you to consider not only the crime Lam committed as a youth, but also the multiple traumas he has suffered and all the ways he has grown and evolved as a person. In the spirit of compassion and redemption, I ask you to have mercy and pardon Lum. And to my dear brother Lum, you have been through so much. I know it is hard to trust and let others in when we have been harmed and violated. But you found the courage and the strength to open your heart to Auntie June and the others. And it has transformed you and made your life for the better. You are so deserving of this pardon, and don't let anyone or anything make you think otherwise. Please look around you right now. See all the faces of everyone here. We are here because we care about you. We admire you and we believe in you. And don't forget about the 1,300 people who signed your petition. Please remember this moment. Hold it in your heart and let it give you strength and comfort. I wish for you, my brother, peace, happiness, and most of all, freedom. And to all of us here, let us illuminate and spread our humanity and compassion by mobilizing our networks of friends, family, colleagues, and acquaintances to sign Lum's petition and to have them come to the in-person rally. Thank you for having me and being here to support Lum. And a big thank you to Tsuru for Solidarity for organizing this event.
Go ahead, Stan, if you don't mind sharing for a few minutes about the in-person rally.
Sure. So the week after, so Dr. Tran was speaking at a virtual rally that we held in end of May. And then the following week, we held an in-person rally on the steps of the state capitol in Sacramento. And it was organized by Tsuru for Solidarity, led by Satsuki Ina and a whole committee of folks. We drew about 50 or 60 people. It was done in the middle of the day on a Thursday on the Capitol steps. So it was really meant to be more of a social media and mainstream media event. And in that it was successful. We got coverage by local radio station, by TV station in San Francisco, by national ABC News, as well as some other articles written about it. So we were able to get Lum's story out to a broad audience, which was the goal. The rally itself was, I thought, was really well done by Tsuru folks. It was a group effort. The Bay Area Tsuru Committee brought thousands of Tsuru, including the big ones that Akemi Ina and Kiyoshi Ina made, and with the stands that Kiyoshi made. So we had large Tsuru around the staging area with a backdrop of like a rainbow cascade of Tsuru on strings. We got the Bakuhatsu Taiko from UC Davis to come open and close the program with a lot of energy. A lot of people said, yeah, you don't see anything like this in Sacramento. You see a lot of demonstrations and rallies on the steps of the Capitol, but you don't see anything like this. So I think it made a splash that way. We had people from Sacramento who did a lot of logistical stuff, getting the permit to be there, getting the sound system, arranging for water. It was like it got up around 90 degrees that day. Yeah, and we had great speakers. We had local immigrant rights group speak. Lum spoke himself, and another person under deportation threat, Charles Joseph, who's Fijian, also spoke. We had a Native American young lady sing a beautiful healing song to open the program. So it was just a really nice coming together of many communities in support of LUM specifically, but also in support of people who are unjustly targeted by ICE in our immigration system. And you know, raising awareness around that whole issue and raising the question of what can we do, and at different levels. So the governor can give pardons that would take LUM and others off of the ICE's deportation list. And we can do whatever we can to help convince them to do that, as well as change policy at the federal level. So anyway, that's a brief recap.
Thanks so much, Stan. And next, Lisa is going to share about the art call that Tsuru for Solidarity has out that is, I believe, closing soon.
Thanks, JJ. Yeah, so I wanted to share on behalf of Tsuru's art committee. As Stan was talking about the action in Sacramento, I was thinking about Akemi's giant Tsuru and all these other ways that art has been so central to the kinds of demonstrations we have and organizing we do. And it's because of this that the art committee wanted to put out a call for other artists who maybe we haven't been able to work with before, who are interested in submitting a piece of art, but also sort of like a way to begin building relationships with new artists or different artists. So I'll put a link in the chat. The application deadline is Monday, so it's you got a few more days. There's information on what kind of art submissions they're seeking, and from the art, which can be, you know, 2D or 3D art. The art committee is going to be making prints of the art. Selected artists will receive a stipend of $500 and sharing, using their art in Tsuru's some of our social media work. So all the information about the call for the art submission is on that website. And if you're interested, please submit by Monday.
Great, thank you, Lisa. I'll just briefly give an update on the Nikkei Abolition Study Group. I know some of you have, I got big. I know some of you have been coming, but this group is a study group specifically for Nikkei or Japanese people, where we get to read articles and talk about what abolition of the prison industrial complex means. And you don't have to consider yourself an abolitionist to join, but just be open to considering the idea. And July will be the third one. There's a different topic every time. And the first two, I believe, have had about close to 100 people. And so if you're interested in joining, the discussions have been really great. And Lisa put the link for the interest form in the chat. And this month, we've been scheduled for July 17th, which is the date of the Fort Bliss action. So it's unclear whether it's going to be on that date or move possibly to July 31st. But if you fill out the interest form, we'll definitely keep you posted on that. And yeah, and then I'm going to pass it to Mike to share about the action at Fort Bliss.
Thank you, JJ. It's really nice to be with everyone here today. I'm just going to move you. There we go. Now I can see everyone. Yeah, so I would love to give you a little update on the direct action that's being planned for Fort Bliss, and maybe I could just offer just a little bit of information in preview of a gathering that we'll do this coming Wednesday evening to give kind of a full report and informational session on how to be involved in going to Texas for that protest. Just if you didn't know this, we just passed the 2-year anniversary of our involvement at Fort Sill. And our involvement there was also to prevent the expansion of child detention in the form of influx sites that were happening during the Trump administration and are still happening during the Biden administration. So it's interesting that 2 years almost to the date that we're now planning to go back to protest another detention site for children. What we are protesting at Fort Sill is the imprisonment of over 2,400 children currently. It was around 5,000 several months ago. They did have plans to expand it to 10,000, which they've now rescinded. 10,000 would have been larger than many of the World War II WRA camps that were used for Japanese Americans. 2,400 children in captivity is still absolutely unacceptable. Since March, there have been over 20,000 children in detention sites in the United States. 13 of those are what are referred to as rapid processing intake centers. These are unregulated centers outside of the rule of law of international protections and mandates governed by the Geneva Conventions. So since they are outside of the law and extrajudicial in that sense, they have no oversight or transparency. And in fact, there's been a lot of issues being now reported coming out because staff are starting to blow whistles on what's happening inside. There are 13 of these intake sites right now. Fort Bliss is the largest one. These intake sites represent a vast network of over 200 detention sites for immigrant children that exist in the United States. This is absolutely unacceptable. What we are understanding is coming out from Fort Bliss. The BBC did an undercover investigation that just went public last week. What we are witnessing is children in tents holding up to 800 or 900 children at a time. There's no social distancing. There's a COVID epidemic that is raging through the intake sites, including Fort Bliss. There's something like over 300 cases there that have been reported. There's been now sexual abuse reported at Fort Bliss of both males, young males and females by adults. There is a report that they're not allowed to shower. They have not had bathing or hygiene in weeks, that the food is rotten or uncooked and the children are becoming ill from it. There's infestations so bad of lice and scabies that they've had to put some of the tents under lockdown. The children sleep on floors with Mylar blankets. Sometimes there are pipes that are leaking on them, so they fall asleep wet and they wake up wet, and they're in air-conditioned buildings, so they're becoming very ill, and there's lack of medical attention. There is a report from our partners in El Paso that the facilities are on high alert for suicide watches because they're very concerned that children are reporting that they want to kill themselves. So this is the situation that we're dealing with, and this is why we have to go back there. And Fort Bliss, unfortunately, is not an anomaly. This is a problem that is apparently more widespread than we know, but there has been so little accountability or transparency that it's hard to know what is happening in all of these sites. Interestingly, they report terrible sand and dust storms that cover everything. They report standing in line for food for hours. And then they report food poisoning from the food. And when I heard that, I thought all of the stories my mother told me about what happened at Minidoka in her childhood, this is exactly the same thing. In 1942, Fort Bliss was used as an internment camp for Issei immigrants. There were, at its peak, there were 91 people of Japanese heritage that were imprisoned there. Ironically, at the same time that Nisei soldiers were being sent there to do preparation for battle. We are the first community that was imprisoned there. And so it's important for us to go back now and stand in solidarity with communities that are currently being targeted. So the plan is that there will be a very large direct action on Saturday, July 17th in the morning, along with a press conference. We're nailing down the site within El Paso, but the National Coalition has set that date. That morning, there will be a protest. And then that evening, there will be healing circles that Tsuru for Solidarity will lead. The evening before that, on Friday evening, there will be an orientation and safety training for all of the organizations and their communities that are participating. So that would include Tsuru and all Japanese Americans that decide to participate. On the evening before that, which is Thursday evening, Tsuru for Solidarity will have arrived and set up sort of a base station at one of the hotels. We're locking that down right now. And we will have a meeting for any Japanese Americans who are there. We're currently putting together a core volunteer team of about 20 to 25 people. We certainly would welcome anybody who's interested to join us in Texas in our volunteer efforts. And of course, some people, as in the past, may just decide they would like to show up on Saturday for the direct actions and participate in the healing circle that evening. We would be very delighted and pleased for anybody to participate in any level. If you are interested in helping with the volunteer core team, there is a link that you can participate in. Lisa just put information in the chat. And again, we're going to have a full meeting on Wednesday evening to explain how to get involved. Of course, we understand that this is still a moment of pandemic, and we would require anyone working with us on our core volunteer team to be fully vaccinated at least 2 weeks. And to follow our protocols for safety and protection of each other during a pandemic. And we realize that this is not a moment where everyone feels that it's within their risk assessment level to travel to Texas or to participate in large social gatherings. And we completely respect that. And we would ask that people take responsibility for that decision. We will not be able to be responsible for anyone's decision or liable for people's decisions. So it's really an individual decision about whether or not to participate. But some of us will be going because we feel it's imperative at this moment to take a position here. And I just in my breakout room, people were talking about going, and I just continually amazed by the moral authority and the conscience and the sense of solidarity of our community. And I'm really moved to be connected to this group. So hopefully we'll see many of you on Wednesday. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mike. I'm going to just briefly share that we have an event coming up this Tuesday via Zoom. It's a Nikkei coffee chat event, just very informal, getting people together who identify as Nikkei or Japanese to have, just really informal conversations about what it means to be Nikkei. And I really think that it'll be 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time, and just for an hour. And I think, when we talk about what it means to be Nikkei, part of it is like what we're doing here is like defining what American means. And then if you can join us, if you save a receipt from like a coffee or snack or two, we can reimburse you for that. And Lisa just dropped the link in the chat to register for that. Yeah, and I'm gonna pass it actually back to Mike, who's gonna lead us in healing Qigong set.
Thank you, JJ. So I am a Chinese medicine practitioner, East Asian medicine practitioner, and one of the sort of branches of our medicine is what we refer to as meditational or internal cultivation practices. Sometimes we call those ki techniques in Japanese, and in Chinese they would refer to it as qigong or neigong, inner practices. So there's so much of our work that is about being at the sort of the front line around violence and state violence. And that's actually very hard space to hold open and to hold our center strength. It's very exhausting to be in that space. And so what we've started to realize is that we need to start really cultivating and nourishing ourselves even as we decide to stand at the front line and resist forms of violence. So I want to teach a couple practices that I use that I was taught by my teachers from what is now Tibet and China. And these are Buddhist practices, actually, from the mountains, the Qingcheng mountain of China, from the Dragon's Gate lineage. So one thing you can do is when you're feeling very tired and like you've absorbed a lot of negative energy, in Chinese medicine, East Asian medicine, we think of the hands as really a microcosm of the whole body. And each of the fingers is actually a conduit or gateway to one of the inner organs. And of course, what we believe is that our spirits and our organs are interconnected. So, so one way to try to bring in the pure and exhale the toxic is to use our fingers, and we can breathe in. And when we breathe out, we flick our fingers. So let's flick the first finger. So we breathe in and we breathe out. And that's the lung. And do that one more time. Next one, and it's the middle finger. So we would breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And the fourth or ring finger is for the liver. And we can breathe in and breathe out. And flick that fourth finger. And you almost like spit the bad chi or ki out. Breathe in. And the pinky, if you put your pinky under your thumb and we breathe in, this is for the kidneys. And breathe in and breathe out. And the last one is we put the thumb under the middle finger like that. And then we'll breathe in and then we'll flick the thumb out. So breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. So that's one way to think about cleansing and replenishing your organs which are really the essence of our life force, our key, our essential key, is stored in our organs. And you can do that once or twice a day, even when you're sitting there waiting for something while you're watching TV, or when you wake up, or before you go to sleep. And this is a really easy but simple way to strengthen and cleanse your chi. I want to show you another one that's really simple, which is sit with your feet shoulder width apart, hands sitting on your thighs gently. And I want you to close your eyes and just take several deep breaths at your own pace, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Just do 2 or 3 of those, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Keep doing that. And I want you to kind of ask yourself, how am I doing right now? How do I feel? This is what we would call like a little personal check-in, but you're doing it using your chi. So you keep breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. How am I doing physically? How does my head feel? And keep breathing. How does my neck feel? My vertebrae in my neck. How do my eyes feel? How does my jaw feel? How does my tongue in my mouth feel? How does the front of my throat and neck feel? And how does my spine all the way down to my tailbone feel? And keep breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, your own pace. And how do my shoulders feel? How do my upper arms and elbow feel? Keep breathing. How do my forearms and my hands, my palms and my fingers and my thumb feel? How does my wrist feel? And we come back and notice our back. How do my shoulder blades feel? And how does my middle back feel? How does my sacrum and my hips feel? And breathe. How does my chest feel? How does my abdomen feel? How does my pubic area and my groin feel? How does my buttocks feel? We hold a lot of tension in this area. Breathe. And how do my legs feel? My thighs and the backs of my thighs. How do my knees feel and the backs of my knees? And how do my calves and my shins feel? How do my ankles feel? How do my arches and the bottoms of my feet and my heels feel? How do the tops of my feet and my toes feel? Coming back up, we're going to descend down through our throat. How does the throat feel? Deep breath in. How do my lungs feel? Exhale. And how does my heart feel? Under your right rib cage, how does your liver feel? And more toward the center, how does your spleen feel? And around the back and your lower back on both sides, how do your kidneys feel? In and out. Now we're going to bring our hands back to our thighs and just sit there gently. And just in your own time, I want you to scan from the top of your head, go slowly down your body. And if there's a place you notice there's tension, just stop there and breathe. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And keep scanning down your body. Wherever you notice pain or tension or discomfort, pause there, give it more time, and breathe. Keep scanning down. All the way down to your feet. Then bring your attention back behind your eyes. Your eyes are closed, but behind your eyes, inside. Try to bring your attention down to the center of your chest, in the area of your heart. And now we're going to continue our breathing, but I'm going to lead this part just for a minute. We'll do this. And I want you to breathe in for 4 counts through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold and pause. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Inhale through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the mouth. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. And in 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. And just go ahead now and sit with yourself quietly. And breathe at your own rate. Offering appreciation for your body that has been your closest and most faithful friend through everything. Offering it appreciation. And connecting to our breath and our spirit, our soul. Finding home within ourselves. Slowly open your eyes. I'm going to teach you one last technique for cultivation and regeneration. So what we would say is that everything is vibration. Ki is vibration. And like in string theory, vibration, if it vibrates at a certain frequency, it creates physical matter, but otherwise we can't see things. So like in Star Wars, the Force is all that is seen and unseen, but so is the Force is really chi or ki. And so the force of the universe that binds all things together is ki. And it actually has sound to it as well. And so your source chi that is stored in your kidneys, your life force, the fountain of your life, if we blow through a whistle, it makes a sound. So this is a mudra. If you put your middle and ring finger under your thumb and extend your pointer finger and your pinky, like antennas on a rabbit or rabbit ears. And then if you looked at this part right here under the knuckle between the thumb, can you see that? Right under the first finger, right there, right in that fleshy area. Think of that as an instrument, like this is a musical instrument and we're gonna blow into it like this. So if you were to hold this mudra and you breathe in deeply all the way down, 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 down to under your belly button. And then when you blow out, if you blow into your instrument, we call this like a whistle or a horn. And close your eyes and feel the vibration of what you blow, because you're blowing the most fundamental vibration of your existence through this horn. This is what we call a chi or ki horn. It's a healing horn, and you're blowing in, and from the other side, right by your pinky, comes out the chi. And if you thought of blowing through that and forming an egg around yourself, like a big bubble, like, have you ever seen those when children blow the soap bubbles? When you blow this, you form a bubble of chi around yourself. And if you sit quietly while you do this, sometimes you feel the vibration, or you might actually hear something subtly, or you might see colors. That's all ki emanation. You might not feel anything at all either, and that's fine, because not everyone feels it or sees it, but you're definitely emanating your source chi out, and you're creating what we call the egg. And you should do this when you get into bed at night, and blow that egg around yourself and sleep within that egg, and it will regenerate you at night. So to finish our practice today, we'll rub our hands together. Our hands each represent the 5 central organs. We're rubbing them together, the chi, and we're cultivating that chi. And then we're gonna rub our hands over all of our orifices, our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our ears, almost like we were washing our face. We're washing our chi. We're washing the orifices, is how we perceive the world. And then we're gonna tap on our skull with our fingers around our ears. These are the drums that awaken the spirits. Rub our hands together again. take our middle fingers and rub them along the bridge of our nose. This is a microsystem that correlates to all organs of the body. And we breathe in through our nose and out. We're just doing a gentle scrub there of our organs. And then we breathe in, extend our arms out, and open your eyes and look at the world as if for the first time. And that's our practice. Thank you. Pass it back to you, JJ.
Thanks so much, Mike. That was great. I'm gonna pass it over to Yoshino to let us know how various ways we can get involved in Tsuru's work.
Oh, thank you, JJ, and thank you, Mike. So I'm gonna talk about a little bit about how you can get involved for everyone who's new and who's familiar. Welcome. And so I'm gonna explain. So first, Tsuru has 3 different types of groups you can get involved in. So the first is a working group, the second is a committee, and the third is an affinity group, and I'll explain each one. So the first, a working group is based on specific issues and organizing campaigns. So for example, there's family and child detention, police, prisons and detention, and redress and reparations. And and then there's no you can like get involved in how many as you want. You can get involved in just one or multiple, depends on your capacity. There's a lot of flexibility to how you want to get involved. And second, there are committees. These are based on specific skills or activities, and they often offer support to working groups. But you don't have to be an expert to be in one. We really welcome everyone to join. So some examples are, we have an education committee, policy advocacy, healing, and direct action. And then there's more, but I'll post them later. And the third is an affinity group, which is a space for people to meet up based on a shared identity. So there's one called Next Gen, which is for younger folks who are like ages 16 to 25. There's scholars for those who are involved in higher education, and another one called Black Nikkei for those who identify as Black and Nikkei. And if you haven't filled out this Google form yet, you can fill this out to get involved and see what you want to do. And then if you also want to sign up for our mailing list, which is where we update a lot of information and new events, you can sign up here. And then if you didn't catch everything I said, don't worry, all of the information can be found on this link. But I know I posted a lot of links, so if you have any questions, you can like private message me, or you can also contact Tsuru here. So yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Yoshino. I guess, let's see. Maybe we'll just, people have presented a lot of information on different ways to get involved, including all of the groups that Yoshino just mentioned, and the action in July. And so maybe we'll just go into some small breakouts for about 10 minutes. And yeah, I think just maybe you can talk about maybe what you're involved, what you'd like to be involved in Tsuru for Solidarity. And then if you're already involved, you can just share that. And I'm putting some questions in the chat. This is definitely not a commitment to stay involved forever, but just giving some space for people to think about what their involvement is. And if right now, like not getting more involved is the thing, then that's totally fine. And then, yeah, we'll just do that and then we'll close probably a little early.